Knowing when, where, and what crypto to buy and sell can be really difficult. This analysis will save you hours of work and will do everything inside 15 minutes. We'll look at CTKS Structure, where the algos buy and sell, and much more. Let's get into it and let's run the numbers. Let's say that you're interested in looking at buying or selling Solana. The first thing you need to do is to understand, is Solana in an uptrend? Is it reversing? What is it actually doing? The way to realistically understand that is to look at structure. Now, when we pop on this indicator, what it's telling us is that Solana has overhead structure at that 202.49 level and the 204.05 level. It has a lot of underpinning structural support between 199.38 and 198.58. What does this actually mean? It means that around that 199 area, there is support where the algorithms will come in and buy Sol. And it also means around the 204 level, there's going to be overhead structural resistance. We saw recently that Solana hit that 204, punched through the 199 and got caught at underpinning levels, but this area is called a GW or gravitational well. Price is attracted back to it. Literally, the algorithms were buying Solana as it was coming down. There was quite a degree of panic inside the market. Panic is temporary. Alternately, you could be looking into Dogecoin and saying, oh, this looks pretty interesting. I think I'll layer in here. But the concept is, where is the structural resistance or CTKS resistance? Where is the support? And what you can see, it's looking fairly good for Doge at the current time. Around that 24,526 level, there's overhead structural resistance. When we get above that level, the next serious level is at that 25,600 mark. So Doge is looking realistically quite interesting. This is where the algorithms will hang out on Doge to sell it down, and these are the levels where Doge's price will get supported. And we can see similar things. As Doge came down, it found all the buyers exerted enough influence on price to start to turn it around. This is why it's critical to know where your CTKS structure is. A lot of people talk about structural support and structural resistance. When you analyze all of price data, the structural support is called CTKS support and the structural resistance is called CTKS resistance. There are two levels of standard certification required to draw up these lines. They are not random. Or what about if you wanted to get into Cardano, ADA? When you look at ADA, you can see it's being clearly supported. And what does it mean from a structural perspective? In order to know that, you just mark up your charts with level 1 and level 2 standard certification, or you just get the indicator from the service. Now, what we can see here, when we look at ADA, it's currently 88.90 at the current time, and we have structural support at that 88.15 and even more structural support at 87.71. This is really good for ADA because it has underpinning algorithmic support and also down lower at that 87.01. So if we get a dip down, we're still above that support area, even if we tap into these areas. That creates a target at around that 89.70 mark. Structure is so easy to understand. If it's going above, it's going to the next one, but if it gets below, it's going to the one below. What about XRP? From a structural perspective, we can see recent indicative price. We've got support on XRP. It's coming down to really recent indicative price support. But where is the structure? The structure is completely different from recent indicative price. The current price of XRP is 326.66. We can see that we've got CTKS structural support at 325.46 and CTKS structure at 324.18. This means that we have a degree of underpinning structure which goes along with these very short-term trend lines. Trend lines are good, but CTKS structure is unbelievable. This is where the algorithms will step in to buy. Where would the algorithms step in to sell? one around here, this 330 mark, and a little bit up at 331.91. You can see that we had this big push up in XRP, but the structure meant the algorithms came in and sold XRP down. Where did it sell it down to? Well, if it's not going above, it's going to the structural levels below, and that's exactly what it did. If you're trading inside those cryptos or investing in them, you're probably wondering, why the heck do they move like they do? A lot of it has got to do with total crypto market cap and Bitcoin. If total is coming up, your beloved alts will be coming up as well, because no alt can escape Bitcoin and total's gravitational pull. But then again, just like on Solana, XRP, ADA, and Doge, total has levels of structure as well, and we must know what they are. So where are they playing in? We can see right at the current time, the entire crypto market cap is $4.1 trillion. It came up to this literally just below 4.11 trillion and got rejected. If this continues, we're making our way back to 4.06 trillion. We know this not because of the trend lines, but because of CTKS support. What if we can get across this 4.11 trillion? The next area of localized CTKS resistance is at 4.13 trillion. Now, what does it mean if you are investing or trading in ADA, Sol, Doge, XRP, or anything else inside the crypto market? It would mean if we can't get through this particular level, those projects will not go higher. They will start to decay. Where would those projects start to turn around? They would turn around in that $4.06 trillion area. It's the combination of total crypto market cap and Bitcoin that drives the entire crypto market. And we can see that Bitcoin has been coming up recently. It's currently 122,949. But the key for us is to understand what the actual structure is on Bitcoin. Are we coming into CTKS structure resistance? Are we going to be supported? Where is the support? And we can see that literally we're coming up to a previous all-time high with Bitcoin. We can see lower levels at 121,000, around the 250 mark is really good structural support, and a little bit higher at around that 121,835 level. Now, if we go the other way and just say, okay, if Bitcoin continues to romp up, where is the next overhead structural resistance? It's at that 124,000. You want to be looking at Bitcoin structural levels, total structural levels, as well as your charts that you're trading and investing in. Why is that the case? You need to know where the algorithms are going to come in and sell price, and they're going to come in and support as well. The markets throw out a lot of signals, and one of those particular signals is liquidations. In the last 24 hours, we saw a lot of liquidations getting taken out of the market, and there's some very juicy liquidation levels down lower. When market makers want to push price around, they can dip it very quickly and rise it just as fast. But structure is the key. Across the past 24 hours, there's been $367.89 million worth of liquidations, and the vast majority of those liquidations were short. This pushes up the price. You can see before, those were short liquidation levels that got smashed. When people first start trading and investing, they only look at the chart they're interested in. For example, ADA holders would only look at ADA. XRP would only look at XRP. But the truth is, row 1 and row 2 of the cheat sheet absolutely control the fate of not only the main market, but also the crypto market. We know that XRP, for example, cannot escape Bitcoin and Total's gravitational pull. Bitcoin and Total are moved around by the major market indexes, which get their power or weakness from row 1 and row 2. I'll prove out exactly what I'm talking about. Row 1 of the cheat sheet is the VIX, the DXY, dollar yen, the 10-year, the 2-year, and oil. We saw that the VIX just previously, over the past couple of days, It came up and then it just cratered. Now, what happened to Bitcoin? You can see this almost inverse perspective playing out, and it's not uncommon for it to do that. And if I was to just actually invert this chart, you can see that when the VIX is coming up, Bitcoin is actually coming down, and when the VIX is coming down, Bitcoin is going up. I'll just re-invert that so you can see. The other way we can do is invert this chart. That's another way you can play with this. But the issue is, the VIX coming down is really good for markets, and the VIX going up, not so much. We've also seen a general decay in the DXY, dollar yen, as well as the 2-year and also the 10-year. This is all supporting upward price momentum into risk-on asset classes. But we do notice something over here. In terms of the VIX futures, they're starting to come up. Now, the futures exist to look into the future, literally, and figure out where the VIX could be going. Not surprisingly, in the future. And this is pointing to a leg up. Now, if this occurs and the futures are often a little bit lagged on the market, we would expect the VIX to rise. Now, if the VIX rises, what's going to happen to Bitcoin, the stock market, and individual cryptos? It will come down. Now, how can we stack probabilities to just figure out when this could occur? Well, the first thing you do is to look at the DXY. If the DXY is starting to come up and dollar yen is starting to come up, we would anticipate that the VIX is not far behind. If the yields start to rise up, we would expect the same thing. The markets are in a period of turbulence. For simplicity's sake, you could just look at the VIX itself. What about when we go into row 2, which are junk bonds, the euro dollar, the Aussie dollar, gold, silver, and copper? Are we seeing any weakness in these particular ones? And they typically move in alignment with Bitcoin from a directional stance. Do we see gold strengthening? Well, it's a little bit weak and it's been coming down. What about silver? Is that strengthening? It could be just set to do a breakout, but the verdict is out at the current time. If the euro started to come down, that would mean the DXY was coming up. If the DXY comes up, it brings up the 2, the 10, and also creates a degree of turbulence inside the VIX. We would expect that to be coming up as well. Remember, the stock market throws a very slow signal, but it's a signal that you need to be aware of. When we look at the index futures, are they all going up? Yeah, they're doing quite well at the current time. Looking into row 3, which is the S&P 500, the Dow, the Nasdaq, and the Russell, what do we notice here? That directionality of Bitcoin in terms of the main market is very powerful, and the Russell is often a really good signal, just like silver is a good signal for Bitcoin as well. Now, we've seen a big upsurge in the major market indexes. It's very likely that we're going to get a retracement at some stage, because if we don't get them, what absolutely happens is the thing will fall like a brick. We don't want that. We want a gradual uptrend like this, a consolidation and a resumption up. We just have to keep in the back of our mind that the VIX futures are all coming up. That will play out. When it will play out is a different question. Looking into row 4, now we're just looking from a directional stance, not a structural stance, which is what CTKS traders look at. They look at structure. We can see Apple has been coming up, but Tesla is getting a little bit weaker, Microsoft quite weak, and Nvidia coming down. Also, strategy is coming down, and eventually TradingView just got with the program and changed it from MicroStrategy to strategy. Now, what does this mean? It means that the VIX futures is showing itself in these charts, not so much in the major market indexes as yet. We can tell that the VIX coming down has led to the upward surge inside the crypto market and inside the stock market. The VIX futures coming up is starting to just weigh on Tesla, Microsoft, Nvidia, and strategy. So far, the major market indexes are not paying too much attention. Bitcoin and Total aren't paying too much attention either. but they will. It's just a question of when. And just remember, in an uptrend you always have retracements, so that's pretty much normal stuff. It's just a factor that you want to take advantage of. Please let me know in the comments, what do you think the crypto market will do in the next 24 hours? And of course, what the crypto market does is a predictor of what the stock market will do as well. Therefore, keeping your eyes on what the futures are doing is very important. This is the S&P 500 futures. This is the NASDAQ futures. We can see it's getting a little bit weaker. The Dow futures and the Russell futures are so far doing pretty well. And what was interesting in yesterday's session, especially in the Asian session, as the ASX sold down, Bitcoin basically reflected the moves inside the ASX. I just recently started at CTKS Method on YouTube, and what I've done under playlists, I've created a playlist of trading and investing mindset songs. They're absolutely free to listen to, and they will re-engineer your mind in such a way that you can gain maximum advantage from the market. Please check them out. I always listen to these songs when I trade personally. I'm just sharing what I do for myself with you. Have a great day or night ahead, my friends, and please let me know in the comments, where do you think the markets are going in the next 24 hours? And please bear in mind, it takes pretty much 24 hours for the markets to play out. Bye for now.